EPI, and they said, well, if you want to work overseas, go overseas. So I hitchhiked to Boston. I got a $99 one-way flight to Amsterdam on Pan Am. There is no Pan Am airline. In '78, there was Pan Am, and they had $99 special trips to Amsterdam from Boston. So I flew to Amsterdam with a one-way ticket, traveled on Europe. AP and UPI both offered me a job. UPI offered me a job on the desk in Brussels, Belgium, where they put mayonnaise on French fries, which is wrong. But they have great beer. So, and then AP offered me a contract in Cairo. And I was photographing Anwar Sadat in the peace process. So I moved to Cairo in '78. So that's where I started. And in 1978, I was supposed to sign the beginning of the Camp David peace agreement in December of '78. And for myriad reasons, it didn't happen. So AP was trying to get access to the president on the day they were signing the peace agreement. So the morning of the 17th, they called the AP office, and they said, you can send Foley. You can't send a writer, you can send Foley, and he can't ask any political questions. Well, remember, I'm 23 years old. I've been in Cairo 4 months. You know, my grasp of all the nuances of the Middle East is not exactly set. So what am I going to ask him? So I go up to the house 30 miles north of Cairo and photograph Sadat. And soon, because obviously I'm going to be there all day. So we had a great day with Sadat and his family. And then I was going to leave. And I said, thank you so much, Mr. President, for the day. Photographs of you and your family. And he said, you must have lunch. And I said, Mr. President, I must get back to Cairo and process this film. He says, you must have lunch. Well, when Sadat said you're going to have lunch, you're going to have lunch. So I had lunch with the security people, which is the greatest thing, because after that, when we had photo opportunities and they were throwing everybody else out, I got a few minutes to stay because I was blessed by the president, and that was his great friend. So, well, so showing you as pictures of my work in various places. Is there a way to?
Yeah.
Just tell me that you have to use the mouse. I'm
No,
sorry.
use the mouse there.
Okay. So we'll start with Sadat and Mubarak. This was the December 17th. This is Sadat's grandson, Sharif. And this photograph, a photograph just like it, of him kissing his grandson, was used on Saturday Night Live in '78. And on Weekend Update, you guys know Saturday Night Live? Weekend Update? Well, the correspondent was saying, today, Egyptian President Anwar Sadat bought an inflatable child. He had to be there. Anyway, so this is another picture from that day of he's talking to one of his assistants on the phone in the backyard of the Barrage Rest House. One thing I've always said about Sadat, if you didn't get the picture, it wasn't his fault. He really had a great idea of what he was doing for the camera, whether it was a news camera, film camera, or a still camera. This is November of '78, and he's talking to, 79 rather, talking to students at Port Said, and of course, the picture of him, he doesn't want to forget who he is, so there's a poster of Sadat. This picture was published in Time, Newsweek, Perry Match, New York Times, because the story was the peace process was moving along as fast as they wanted it to. So, and it's the Sadat complaining about the fact that it's going too slow. This is Sadat and his government. You might recognize the gentleman to his right, and that's Hosni Mubarak, who's
NASA.
Huh?
Mubarak.
No,
Mubarak.
Mubarak.
On the other side.
Nasser's dead. Nasser's long dead by the time I get to Cairo. Nasser's been long dead. And there's the pyramids in the background. This is a trip in the Delta. One of the great things about these days, we had amazing access. You know, you could get really close to people, whether it was Henry Kissinger or Anwar Sadat or any of these guys. We really had a lot of access. Not so much anymore. But I'm literally up against his arm with a 24mm lens, trying to get that Sadat showing the sweep of him embracing the Egyptian people as the train goes by. During a speech in 1980, again, he's very unhappy about something. This is on his yacht in the Suez Canal, and all these sailboats greeting him and welcoming him on his yacht and a helicopter overhead. This is a 6th of October parade 2 years before the 1981. Was praying in a mosque. Do anybody know the history of Iran and Egypt? And this is the Shah of Iran. The Shah of Iran was thrown out of, well, he left Iran when Khomeini came in '79. And so that was the only person in the area who would allow him to come and get refuge. And the Ministry of Islamic Guidance in Tehran was putting out the story that he was on a vacation. Well, a vacation, he never went back to Iran. And so they're in a mosque in Aswan. And the joke was, Sadat is saying to the Shah, just do what I do. The joke being, he hadn't been inside a mosque in 30 years. Just do what I do, and I know you haven't prayed much in the mosque, so just follow my lead. And after Camp David is signed, they get Sinai back. And this is Sadat and his government praying at the foot of Mount Sinai. Have you ever been to Egypt or the Middle East? Sinai is an amazing place. It really is beautiful. This is coming back from Camp David, and security people are taking overzealous supporter. There's Sadat Mubarak on the big Cadillac limousine. And I'm shooting these pictures from a truck, that's a pickup truck in front of the motorcade, full of ABC, CBS, Time Magazine, AP, this whole cluster of people on this truck. I'll show you this picture. This is a day when Henry Kissinger was visiting Sadat. And I love this picture because the kid's mother is looks so nervous. Why is this guy kissing my son? Why is this guy? Anyway, so it's pretty funny. This is President Carter speaking to the Egyptian Parliament. So that the background looks on. Carter came to Cairo to make sure that everything was going well with the peace agreement. They were bringing troops on the removing sand. And in this series of pictures is Menachem Begin and Anwar Sadat. Menachem Begin was the Prime Minister of Israel. And I like to tell stories, even if it's a press conference, we'll make a little narrative out of it. In this first picture, you've got Begin saying to Sadat, you know, whatever, with his hand signal saying, you know, we've got to move on with this thing. And the next picture is, Sadat doesn't talk to Begin, he talks to the press. He goes to the outside, he goes, do you believe what this guy's saying? And then at the end of the day, everything's hunky dory. It's all smiles, and there we are. All same press conference, and there we have it. It's a coffee shop in Cairo, Begin on Egyptian television, which wasn't something that happened often. But after Camp David, it happened a lot more often. And then you had various newspapers passing by. So you go, this is the Jerusalem Post. And this guy was a sort of a friend of mine. He sold newspapers in Tal Harb Square. And so he's holding up the Al Aram, which is the Egyptian answer to the New York Times, and the English copy of the Jerusalem Post. This is October 5th, 1981, Sadat Mubarak meeting the day before the 6th of October parade. And if you look at this photograph, it's sort of premonition. Sadat looks small and not quite as big as Mubarak does. Mubarak looks very athletic and very strong. And of course, the next day, Sadat gets killed. He's assassinated. This is 10 minutes before he's assassinated. I made this portrait, and what he's doing is he's looking up at the jets that the Egyptian Air Force has just acquired. And so he's got this incredible smile on his face. He's very happy. Things are moving forward. They're getting more money. They're getting rough with the West and Israel. And 10 minutes later, these guys come off the truck and kill it. So after Sadat is gone, Mubarak takes his place as the vice president. And we all know what happens to Mubarak, right? What happened to Mubarak?
Still alive.
He's still alive, and he's in jail.
Yeah.
Waiting for his third trial.
Right, right. It's true. Again, like this Sadat's picture behind him, he's not got his picture. We don't want to forget what he looks like, right? And so that's the series of Sadat Mubarak. It's a brief series. There's many more pictures, but on the website, this is what I have. Any questions about this series of pictures? No questions?